Manchester United are close to a double exit with Antony and Malacia close to leaving on loan. Ruben Amorim is keen for reinforcements this month. Napoli submit another bid for Alejandro Garnacho, and Ait-Nouri is the alternative left-back linked with United. All this plus more in today's video as we run through all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news that will keep you right up to date with everything. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video. Let's jump straight into it. So this was a bit of a, I don't want to say unexpected, but a bit of a bolt out of the blue last night regarding Antony. So we'll run through that first. So Matt Gales, originally this came from a Spanish outlet who are quite reliable when it comes specifically to Real Betis news, confirming that an agreement is being drawn up between Real Betis and Manchester United for the loan of Antony until the end of the season. New contacts took place between the clubs today, and despite competition from other clubs, Betis feel well positioned to complete the deal. Then we had an Italian journalist, Mattei, who's actually been quite decent in the last few weeks regarding transfer news, saying that Antony is close to joining Real Betis on loan without an option to buy. So it's just going to be a straight loan to Real Betis. The deal is difficult in terms of cost and competition from clubs, but Betis are pushing to conclude the deal. And then Fabrizio Romano has kind of confirmed it as well, saying that Real Betis are closing in on Antony deal with Man United. Final details of the agreement being discussed. Loan move until June with no option clause currently included. Antony has opened doors to the move. Man United will also cover part of his salary. So looking like Antony to Real Betis is kind of getting closer and closer. A few kind of decent sources plus Fabrizio Romano, you know, the most credible kind of source out there really when it comes to transfer news, confirming that Antony very close to going to Real Betis. Straight loan though, no option to buy, no obligation to buy or anything. We're obviously going to still have to cover a portion of his salary because Real Betis, you know, I think their highest earning player is Isco, and he's on around 100 grand a week, and he's their top earner. So Real Betis are nowhere going to cover his full £200,000 a week salary that some idiot at United gave Antony. It still blows my mind, the Antony deal. Just everything around it was just absolutely incompetence at the highest level, paying pretty much double the asking price at the end of the transfer window when we were desperate, and going for giving him a contract from 20 grand a week to 200 grand a week is absolute insane. And that's the problem we have with Antony, is the fact that actually it hasn't worked out. He hasn't performed very well. In fact, he's been, you know, arguably up there with the worst ever signing, in my opinion, for Manchester United. But the fact that we gave him a 200 grand a week contract is why we're having to just loan him out, pay some of his salary, and there's not really much we're going to be able to do about that. We just the only hope is that he goes away, finds some form, and then we can maybe get a deal for him in the summer. You know, whether that's from the Saudi Pro League or, you know, from another club, that and actually him playing football regularly, you know, kind of means that he'll be more willing to maybe take a pay cut or not. But we'll have to just wait and see how it kind of plays out. But the main thing is that Antony is going to go on loan because, you know, he's not been very good, has he? But then Laurie Whitwell came out with the following, saying that Manchester United are making progress in talks over Antony's proposed loan move to Real Betis. Offloading part of Antony's salary could allow United to press on with incoming transfer business of their own, with Ruben Amorim keen for reinforcements this month. Antony's miss against Southampton encapsulated his time at United, and that is why he has been made available for an exit. So that came from Laurie Whitwell. Laurie Whitwell is about as good as it gets specifically for Manchester United news from The Athletic. Very, very good. Probably, you know, I would say Ornstein, Romano, and then Laurie Whitwell would be my top three kind of picks for transfer news, but Lloyd Whitworth specifically for Man United news is probably up amongst the best. So really interesting to pick apart what he said there. Amorim is keen for reinforcements this month. Losing Antony or offloading some of his wages might free up some wiggle room in PSR to bring somebody in. And then obviously emphasising the fact that he missed an open net from a yard out, you know, was probably the final nail in the coffin for Amorim, because he could have, like I said, that would have been the equaliser. We could have made things way more comfortable for themselves. But that was an absolutely terrible miss, wasn't it, as well? But so that's the kind of first real movement in terms of the transfer window. Antony looking very likely to be going on loan to Real Betis. Just a straight loan. We're going to have to probably pay a lot of his salary still. But it just is what it is with Antony, isn't it? He's just a massive problem that we there's no easy solution for, because we can't sell him, because who's going to want to buy Antony at the moment? The fact his form's been terrible. It's a massive risk for clubs, because who knows whether that's just, whether it's just a Man United problem, a confidence problem, a Premier League problem, do you know what I mean? But then also, no one's going to give him 200 grand a week. That's insanity, the kind of amount that he's on as well. So a loan is probably all we can do with Antony, and just hope that he goes away, hope that he performs, hope that we can then get some sort of buyer and solution for him in the summer. But let me know what you think overall about the Antony situation. But interesting that Laurie Whitworth was saying would be keen for reinforcements, and I'm kind of thinking there's not that many players linked with incomings at the moment. The only one really with any real credibility is Dorgelis from RB Salzburg. Remember back to the other day, Romano was linking us with him, saying that we've made inquiries and stuff. So that potentially could be one, because he's not valued at that high. His value on transfer market's €8 million. So could that be one where Antony goes, it frees up some kind of PSR wiggle room for us to maybe go for a Dorgelis? That might be one to kind of keep an eye on. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now let's move on to some other exit news. Obviously, the other player that's heavily linked to at the moment with an exit is Garnacho. So let's run through the latest there. So Napoli have submitted an improved offer of €55 million for Alejandro Garnacho. Now that came from Tuttosport. We're not the most credible, so I would take that story with a pinch of salt. For now, remember the rumours were before that he'd bid £40 million that we'd rejected. So now, according to them, though, they've improved their bid €55 million. It's probably getting closer to the kind of mark that I think United are looking for him. Corriere dello Sport said that Alejandro Garnacho is ready to accept Napoli's proposal and would double his current wage at United. Napoli are willing to pay €50 million, but United want more. And then Sky had a kind of quote from Napoli's sporting director when he was asked specifically about Garnacho, saying that Garnacho, we are making evaluations, we must not get caught up in the frenzy. There is expectation, and we will be ready, but on the conditions of Napoli. So that's kind of negotiation talk, isn't it? Where it's like, well, we're not willing to pay what you want. We would be doing the same. I always think of this, if this was a reverse transfer, if this was us trying to buy Garnacho, I would be quite optimistic this deal could get done, and that you'd find a middle ground. If we're wanting 60 and they're offering 50, you're talking 55, maybe with some add-ons and all of that kind of stuff is what I would be thinking. So that this kind of is starting to heat up a little bit around the Garnacho situation. And then another kind of Italian outlet has said that Napoli are still in talks with Manchester United for Alejandro Garnacho. United will not back down on their price. The club stance is £59 million or nothing. So, the fact that the rumours are they've increased their offer, and it's getting closer to the kind of, because it's always reported around £60 million is what United want, or plus, maybe with some add-ons and stuff like that as well, is what we're kind of looking for. And it just seems like classic negotiation talks that where Napoli's kind of football director of sport is saying, no, we're going to get the right price for us, and we're saying, no, we want 60. Do you know what I mean? It's a classic kind of negotiation when it comes to like a transfer, and the fact that obviously they're willing to double his wages. I was thinking this the other day. Does anyone think that this might be a little bit of Garnacho's agent maybe putting the feels out to try and get Garnacho a better contract out of United? Because he's only on, he's on 50 grand a week. And he has been pretty much a first teamer for the last year. So is it his agent that's kind of going around and then to come back to United and say, hold on, Napoli want to give him 100 grand a week contract. What are you going to offer? Like, that could be potentially what's happening as well. Because remember, the reports are United are not forcing Garnacho out. Garnacho doesn't necessarily want to leave, so it might be agent talk. It might be his agent kind of doing some bits. But yeah, I would say not the most credible sources on there, but no smoke without fire. We know there's clear interest. There's been loads of credible, Romano, people like that saying that actually, yes, there is some kind of legs in the Napoli Garnacho kind of deal. So we'll have to kind of keep an eye on it. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. And then just one story on Rashford today, you'll be pleased to know, that said Marcus Rashford is not ruled out signing for West Ham on loan this month if a move to Borussia Dortmund or AC Milan doesn't happen. That came from Gimme Sport. Gimme Sport have got some, credible journalists working for them and some not credible journalists. That came from one of their not so credible journalists, because the reports yesterday were that AC Milan are going for Kyle Walker instead of Rashford from more credible places than where that kind of story came from. But it is another option. It's looking likely with Rashford. The club that interest in him is dwindling down. I mean, we had all these kind of interest at the start. We were talking to like Como and, all of these other clubs, Juventus. And now realistically, the only two clubs that are more heavily linked is Dortmund and Barcelona. But Dortmund will want him on loan with no option, or probably an obligation to buy. We're going to have to pay a big, obviously, chunk of his salary, because Dortmund aren't going to. They're similar to the Jadon Sancho deal last summer, if you kind of think about it that way. And Barcelona are in a position where they have to sell somebody to buy. Araujo was believed to be one they were looking to move on, but he's just signed a new contract with them, so he's staying. Ansu Fati is the one they're trying to remove, but again, it's all kind of messy, isn't it, regarding that situation? But we'll keep an eye on it for you. That's the latest update regarding Rashford. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. And then another exit that was kind of sprung out of the blue that I brought you in yesterday's video was Malacia. And it came from a decent kind of Dutch outlet. Now, this Dutch outlet, again, are very credible when it comes to Dutch players. They were very good around Rene Hack. I think they actually broke the news when Malacia signed for us a few years ago as well. So, they're a really good source when it comes specifically to Dutch players and Dutch news, saying that Tyrone Malacia will be leaving Manchester United on loan. Sources close to the player have confirmed. So Malacia is another one that's potentially going to be going out on loan. Again, don't know the details or even the club at the moment where he's potentially going to be going to. And this came from a reporter in The Athletic, who is a good source, saying that Manchester United are exploring a January loan move for Tyrone Malacia. Sources close to Malacia say discussions have taken place with several clubs about a potential loan, with the move either to fellow Premier League side or club abroad a possibility. So, again, more kind of stories regarding Malacia potentially leaving. So that's Antony potentially going out on loan and Malacia potentially going out on loan. The teams that have been linked with Malacia, I think Juventus were linked with him before. Como are another one that potentially might be interested in Malacia. They're the two names, but there's no real kind of confirmation around his exit as well. And if we've got to be going for another left back. I think it's insane if we let Malacia go. We've got to be bringing somebody in. Surely we're not that crazy that our only fit left back, who's not really that good anyway, to be fair. I think he's more of a back four defensive kind of left back. I think he's actually pretty decent there, but as an attacking fullback, he's not very good. He's the only one that we have, though, that's left-footed that can play like on that side, and it would be insane to me to not bring somebody in if you're going to let Malacia go on loan. You're either pinning your hopes on Luke Shaw becoming available, and I don't think that's going to happen for the rest of the season, or we're just massively weakening ourselves in an area that's massively weak anyways. But, we'll have to keep an eye on it. I'll bring you any updates. In terms of replacements, though, or possible left-backs, remember yesterday there was like a triple blow almost, because Alphonso Davies is going to be staying at Bayern Munich, signing a new contract. Nuno Mendes was the one that was heavily linked with us. He apparently now is going to be staying at PSG and signing a new contract there. So the kind of options are dwindling down. The Kirkest, he's got a few stories around potentially going to Liverpool, although not got that much credibility behind it, but there is talk of Kirkes potentially in Liverpool. But another player that's been linked with us today from Miguel Delaney, who works for The Independent, who are a really good source, saying that Manchester United are looking at Rayan Ait-Nouri as an alternative at left back. Now, that would be a great shout because he's a lot more attacking. Would cost a lot more, though, as well, but has Premier League experience along with Kirkes. They're the two that we're linked with that have got kind of Premier League proven almost. That would be a really kind of interesting shout to see whether that would be kind of possible or not. But keep an eye on it for you. We need to wait for, a bit more credibility. Maybe once Malacia goes on loan, then we might start hearing a few more stories about potential incomings. And then another alternative would be Patrick Dorgu. Now, a reporter in Italy, decent but not the most credible, has suggested that we've made a bid for Dorgu. So Lecce have turned down a bid from United for Patrick Dorgu in the last days. Lecce would want to sell him, don't want to sell him in this transfer window, so that could be one potentially to keep an eye on. But according to that report, they don't want to sell him. But so Dorgu, Ait-Nouri, Kirkes, and Alvaro Fernandez is one that we've been linked with, but no real, we've still got the buyback option on there, £16 million. But there's not really been any more reports around that as well. So the list of left back that was massive a few weeks ago has been dwindled down to pretty much effectively 3 or 4: Dorgu, Ait-Nouri, Kirkes, and Alvaro, although the Alvaro news has gone really flat and quiet over the last few weeks as well. That was maybe even the last month, because it was, I think, more like December time when we were heavily linked with making a move for him. But yeah, so there's all the kind of latest. Let me know what you think, though, about the left-back situation. Give us some names, actually, in the comments if you've got any other ideas around left-back that we potentially could be going for. Give us some thoughts below, because it'd be interesting to hear your opinion on the left-back situation. So let us know in the comments. Let me know what you think about all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Don't forget to smash a like on the video on your way out and subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.